John, welcome. Thanks very much for taking the time and joining us. This is the first of a series, which we're calling the Tech 10, where we're speaking to technology and business leaders about a variety of topics. So we've obviously worked together a lot, Endava and Alex partners over the last 15 years. So let's just start, first of all, thinking about the macro perspective situation. There's disruption and challenges everywhere now, it seems. How do you think that's affecting technology leaders' thinking in terms of how they're approaching their business today?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting environment. I mean, a lot of these things are interconnected in a way perhaps they haven't been historically. And that's putting a lot of pressures on tech leaders in terms of, constrained costs, reduce risks within the organization. I think the other interesting aspect is that with things like the advent of AI, there's a lot of pressure on tech leaders to actually be investing and establishing new capabilities for an organization.
It seems a real challenge to be a tech leader at the moment. It's an exciting time. AI's brought that whole sort of element in and is driving an enormous amount of change, but at the same time, they do have a lot of other considerations.
Yeah, I think that's right. And the AI thing is a two-edged sword. There's that element of a lot of things that you can do with it. But then there's also a business expectation that using AI, you can massively and very quickly reduce your cost base.
As we think about the year ahead, we've just launched our Alex Partners Disruption Index. Key theme that came from the execs that we surveyed was an expectation that there's going to need to be a business model change because of this unprecedented revolution in new technologies. So just keen to get your thoughts on how you think businesses are going to have to adapt in this new environment.
I think there's going to be a lot of change driven around enabling the core systems, if you like, of an organization to be much more flexible, much more digital in orientation. And that's a big change from where people are today with many legacy systems within their organizations.
So we'll come on and talk about legacy in a minute because it's a particular interest for me. But can you just explain a little bit more about when you talk about the core that you've just referred to and how do Endava see it?
But we've had a strategy of building those digital capabilities around the outside of clients' existing core systems. AI is going to change that. AI, in order to be truly effective, has to get at the data and the processes that sit in the core. And so you're going to have to go much deeper to get the full benefits out of this next wave.
It's interesting because I remember back to a client that we've worked on together back in the payments days. We had a specific strategy around leaving the core alone, operating on a mainframe platform, and then to think about the periphery, the value-added services, the portals, etc. An interesting insight that you think AI is going to obviously get much more into the center of that layered architecture.
Yeah, and it's going to do it very, very rapidly. In order to be able to drive the benefits, all of those things require you getting into the core and adjusting it now.
We've got clients at the moment that they've got no documentation or they've lost the source code of their platforms. The opportunities that AI presents for them to get around that problem, I think are fascinating.
This is one of the game changers that's going on at the moment. You know, a lot of organizations have been very wary of getting into core modernization of their system. We've developed capabilities, which we call Compass, around using AI to actually look at what your legacy systems do and look at it in a way where you can pull out the views from the business analyst, the architect, the developer, the quality side, and so on. And that's actually been the number one problem that clients have is getting to understand what is in their existing code. Once you can understand it, you can actually tackle the task of transforming it. So it's actually a very, very exciting moment. You have the pressure of AI going, you have to start changing these things that you've left alone for 20 years. But it also creating the opportunity to do that in a more assured way.
Very excited about the technologies that you've got because I think actually the partnership that we've got as two companies that work together a lot, we've got a great opportunity to go and work with a number of clients now who are battling this legacy situation and really haven't had a solution to date.
Yeah, I suspect there's, I don't know, big guess, 10 to 15 years worth of re-engineering it, using those highly productive tools, etc. So it costs a lot less than it would have cost looking at it a year ago even. But actually, there's still such a huge amount of tech debt out there that there's a big job to do to re-engineer it.
I mean, I think virtually every organization we go and work with has got this battle, and it's often a challenge of how to persuade the business leaders that it needs to be invested in, because it often isn't a top priority for companies.
I think it's incumbent on people like us to help them understand the benefit they'll get in faster product to market, the sorts of new capabilities that they'll be able to add, the cost savings that they'll be able to drive in the way they operate the business.
So what we've seen a lot of to date is a lot of experimentation around AI.
Yeah.
Just, again, keen to get your insights on whether you think this is the year where we're going to move from experimentation to more productionized, scaled applications.
Yeah, I mean, that is the question that's on everyone's lips at the moment. This all got kicked off November 22 and ChatGPT came out. I think 2023 was a sort of wow. And people imagined that you'd be able to take it out of the box and it would just work. 2024 was okay, that isn't going to happen. How do you actually implement this stuff, and how do you do it in a secure, resilient, regulatory, approved fashion without the huge processing costs? I think last year people were perhaps looking for the killer app. Now they're realizing that actually you need to get AI into the grassroots of the organization, get lots of people using it, and that's how you get the benefit.
And so you touch on productivity. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to rethink how we organize and execute around technology so that we potentially structure organizations differently and do things differently moving forward.
I've got a view that it's the virtualization is going to become more important. Actually enabling teams to operate in their space more autonomously, creating new products, creating capabilities, selling, going to market, and so on. But that only will happen if you get the core right, and actually enabling that core to have all the regulatory capabilities, to have all the security, to facilitate data, to facilitate change, and enabling the people at the front end through virtualization to get on with growing the business is going to be part of the model of the future.
What's the biggest opportunity, but also the biggest risk now over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years from a technology perspective?
If you take AI down a level, it's going to massively accelerate the rate at which organizations can create new products, create change, improve productivity, and so on. But it's only going to do that if you, and I'd term the phrase, become AI native, where everyone is using it within their job as part of what they do every day. You need to reach that level to get the full benefits out of it.
AI native, I find fascinating, only because it wasn't so long ago we were talking about digitally native. Again, just kind of keen to get your insights into the dilemma of a company that's not born AI, and how does it try and compete with these other organizations that are going to emerge over the coming years.
Our objective as an organization is to make that transition as fast as possible to being AI native. I think being digital native sets us up well for that. Once we're AI native ourselves, then actually the osmosis working alongside clients of helping them to adopt it, I think is going to be a huge way for organizations to take it on, when it's not been part of their DNA.
And it'll be interesting to see DeepSeek. I mean, I'm fairly confident most people would never have heard of DeepSeek a week ago, even though I think it was one of the most popular apps in the App Store. But all of a sudden, that explosion of PR around it has brought that awareness and prominence to it.
As with all technology, in the early stages of its definition, the winners and losers and who you think's going to, get the greatest return out of it changes quite rapidly. But also some of the players, they've got a lot of capital behind them and a lot of establishment. So I think we'll see the DeepSeek type capability adopted and picked up pretty quickly elsewhere as well.
John Willison, thanks very much for your time today. I feel like I could sit here for another hour and talk to you about all of these different topics. Excited about being able to work together moving forward.
Thank you, and it's great to have you over here.